Hello, Kelly. Nice to see you.
Hello, it's so good to see you.
And just to start a conversation for the female entrepreneur who is on a mission to create life on her terms, a lot of money, not because it's just about money, but also because of what it represents and what and who she becomes on the way. What is the main takeaway from our conversation do you think she needs to get today?
I would say following your desires and saying yes to those desires, even if they don't make any logical sense, because they probably won't. Those nudges that you're getting, whether that's for a move that you're called to make in your life or your business, they're coming through for a reason. They're coming through from that higher part of you that's connected to source, to God, to the universe. And when we say yes to that, and we stop relying on what's logical and what we're seeing in our 3D reality, that's when we end up creating not just a life we love and a business we love, but I feel that's where our truest sense of purpose and fulfillment can come from.
Very nice. So, for more context, what is your work about and what can people expect, from based on your field of expertise and body of work?
Yeah, so I'm a psychic money mindset coach. And what I do with my clients is I help them see where they're blocking money. And so most of the women that come into my world, they already have a business, they're showing up, they're taking action, but there are things going on beneath the surface that have nothing to do with their strategy that's really blocking them from receiving the money that's available for them. And usually this has to do with their identity. They're not showing up boldly, powerfully because they're still people pleasing. They're still hoping to, show up in the right way because they've really bought into this idea that there is one right way to show up in the online space and do business. And then the other side of things that often has to do with our relationship to our past, to our previous identities, and our relationship to money itself. And when we get in there and we untangle the stories, the thoughts, the beliefs, the identities that we've taken on and we've outgrown, when we do that inner work, then they're able to break through their income ceiling. It's always that internal work that
Mm.
creates the change because our 3D reality is just a reflection of who we're being.
Mm. Yeah, so when I was chatting with you on about the topic for this episode together, I was referring to a very specific post that you published, I think, yesterday, right? And it was about how women shrink themselves when they show up, right? Why do you think that happens? For I'd say most women, do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think for women, we've had so much conditioning placed upon us that tells us that we're not supposed to be greedy. We're not supposed to be too out there. So it's one thing to be visible and confident, but then on the flip side of that, it's like we're conditioned to not want to go past that point where we might make people uncomfortable. And so in your marketing, there might be something that behind the scenes you're talking to your clients about, or with your business rather. There might be something behind the scenes that you're having conversations about that you know are going to help your clients, but you don't say that in your free content that's public because you don't want to trigger people. Like you don't want to say the wrong thing. There's some people pleasing energy, or you're really up in your head and you're focused on all the people out there who aren't your ideal clients. And so I have women come to me and they're afraid to show up and even do a video, like a talking, like face to
Mm.
camera video, because their parents follow them on Facebook or their ex follows them or there's someone in their community in real life that they don't want seeing their content. And so they shrink themselves, they make themselves smaller and really dilute their message. And what ends up happening is we contract our energy and that impacts our ability to receive. But they're playing small because they've been taught to be the good girl, the nice girl. And even though showing up in your business boldly and saying the things that are going to help your clients have a transformation, there's nothing bad against that or about that. There's still this idea that I don't want to be too much. I don't want to offend people. I don't want to put myself out there because, oh my God, who does she think she is? She's so full of herself. And so, to avoid the discomfort of having any of those projections, You just create the same kind of
Mm,
like vanilla ass content that sounds like everybody else on the internet. And when you do that, you just blend in. Nobody's even going to notice you because
mm.
you're a cheerleader and you're saying like really nice positive things, but you're not allowing you to come through. And with business, at the end of the day, it's human to human interaction. And so if you're not allowing yourself to be fully expressed, if you're not allowing people to feel who you are, then you're missing out. You're basically leaving money on the table because they're gonna bypass you. They're not even gonna really notice you because you're not gonna stand out.
Yeah, that's so true. No, and I ask women if they would like to come on my show. Quite a few actually look, well, actually, a few of them told me I'm not ready, even though I know they are the experts of whatever thing they are doing, and I'm inviting them to come on my show for a reason, you know. Um, and then also, I wonder if it was ever the case for you, and what you find like when I publish my, and still I still sometimes think the only thing is that I've learned to overcome this, but I think about specific people usually who might see my content, or somebody in my, real life, my circle. Sometimes some experts that I look up to in my industry. It's not even some, abstract people. It's usually some specific people I'm thinking about. Is that the case for others too?
It's so common. It is so common. It's usually family, friends, people in the local community, previous coaches or mentors that you've worked with, but your way of doing business or your opinions are different than theirs. And you're like, oh, I hope she doesn't see this. Or
Mm,
even if you tend to work with the same type of client and you're sharing content that's talking about a problem that most of your clients have, it's like, oh, I hope my client doesn't think this is about her specifically, right? Because you don't want to call the client out,
mm,
even though it's something general that you know the majority of your people struggle with. And so what I always recommend my people do is like have that one person that you know is your soulmate client and they understand nuance. You don't have to over explain anything to them. They're checking in on your feed every day to see what you're putting out there. They want to know what you have going on, not just with content, but they want to know what you're selling and only talk to that person and put your blinders on. Because when we get into a place where we're like, oh, I hope so and so doesn't see it, or I wonder if I should water this down and kind of like soften this message a little bit because I don't want to come across as too abrasive. We dilute our energy. And it's like, instead of standing out like a lighthouse for your ideal clients to see you, you're just blending into a sea of content on the internet. And when it comes to being visible, it's not just about showing up and posting. And this is another thing. People say, well, I did my content for the day. I posted my reel. I
mm,
put my carousel post up on Instagram. I did my TikTok. It's like you're ticking something off of a box. It's like, yeah,
mhm.
but were you in it? Like, I always
Right.
think of the
Was it
conversations like,
you? You know?
yeah. And it's always like, who are you behind the scenes when you're talking about your work with your friends,
Mm,
when you're completely unfiltered, or when you're maybe having like a back and forth conversation with a client and you're just like letting things pour through you. You're
mm,
not worried about being perceived a certain way. You're not worried about making a sale. You're just letting the message that's meant to come through
mm.
you come through. Who is that version of you? And bring her into your content that you're sharing publicly because that's what your ideal clients are going to pick up on. And that's when they're in your DMs going, oh my God, you're in my head. How do you know it's like you're reading my journal? And how can I pay you?
Yeah, that is so true. I remember, well, I was aware at some point, because of all the grind, all the hustle, all the stuff, I was showing up, but I was wondering who was actually showing up because, that happens too. You kind of feel it, but you are not sure how to unpack the essence, how to step into yourself. Sometimes it does happen. What is there anything like you can say to somebody who's in that kind of place, how to try at least? Because it's not a nice feeling to have if you are aware. that you're not being yourself exactly, right? You then are, you are aware you're not in your power. But then you have this obligation to show up, to post something every day. That's not a good place to be.
Yeah. So first of all, I get it. Years ago in my business, it took me a couple of hours to shoot a 30-second video because I couldn't get the words out. I hated my voice. I couldn't even stand to see my face in a video. Posting a selfie used to make me nauseous. Like I could do a written post,
Mhm.
put it up on Facebook, but if I had to attach a picture, which we know social media, people want to see your face, they want to see who you are. I Oh my gosh, it took all my energy and all my power just to show my face on the internet. And at one point in time, I had a cartoon picture of Hello Kitty because I used to be a huge Hello Kitty fan when I was younger. I had a cartoon Hello Kitty as my profile picture as a business owner because I
Wow.
couldn't find a picture that I thought was good enough to put on the internet. So when people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I can't do a video," I'm like, "I gotcha." I know what it's like. And so what I would say to that is number one, stop focusing on yourself and focus on the person that you're here to help. Because that shift is going to put all that energy, all that focus onto the person that you're here to impact. And even if you can only do it for like 2 minutes, just put your own shit aside, your own fears, the own stories that are coming up around how, you don't look right or sound right, or you're worried that you're going to mess something up. Put all that aside just for a hot second. Focus on the person that you're here to help, because
Mhm.
that's really what we're
Yeah.
doing, right? And when we stop being so self-centered, because that's really what we're doing when we're being self-conscious, we're just focusing on the self. When we focus on the impact that we're here to make, that can shift things. And then the other piece around this is going through it. Like there's no magic solution to showing up confidently and feeling good about it. Like there's just no magic solution other than doing the work and proving to yourself that you can be wildly uncomfortable and you're not going to die. Like I cried after my first live stream. This is back when Periscope was a thing because I didn't really understand how to use the platform. I had practiced it with a friend. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go live. And I was terrified to go live to begin with, but I had my settings wrong. So the video was visible to everybody all over the world. And I had all of these trolls pop on and I was struggling to just say what I wanted to say because at that point in time, I was really insecure around speaking. And then all of a sudden, all these comments started coming up, and I went into full on panic mode. I was like, so I got off as quickly as I could, cried about it, talked to my coach about it. And then the next day, I'm back on doing live streams, back on doing videos
Mm.
because. What we don't want to do is have something like that happen, or maybe you post something and you're like, oh man, this post is just like, it's exactly what my people need to hear. And then you get a bunch of hate comments. What we don't want to do is retreat and contract and tell ourselves a story that we've done something wrong
Mm.
because we've pissed off strangers on the internet. What we want to do is remember, okay, who is my work for? What do they need to hear today? I'm going to show up and say the thing again tomorrow, even though I might need to kind of take a minute to collect myself, might have to go and, have some moments to myself where I collect myself, but then just getting up and doing the thing again. Because the only way out is through. And the more we do that, it's like building a muscle.
Yeah.
It's like we're not going to go to the gym and lift weights for half an hour and get like bulging biceps or a six pack. That's going to take work. But it's the exact same thing when it comes to showing up boldly. Like it's not going to happen overnight if you are feeling insecure. I guess some people maybe they're born with that boldness where they don't care. They just show up that way right out of the womb. I've never met anybody like that. But for most of us, it's a practice. We have to work at it.
Yeah, I know. Same here. When I first did, I remember in my very first coaching program, they told us that we needed to do Facebook Lives. I'm like, no, no freaking way. I'm not doing Facebook Lives. It took a couple of months for me to to get ready. And the video is terrible. I have it for education purposes to show people, you know, how I started. It was terrible, everything, There was no lighting, nothing. It's crazy. And I remember I was hoping nobody would show up to watch it. And they did. Oh my God, there's people and they're commenting. Oh my God. It's like,
How dare they?
see how even this example, right? How invisible we want to make our, we are showing up, but we want to stay invisible. What the hell?
Yeah, it's like there's a veil, right? That protective veil.
But the
And
whole
it's
idea
you show
is
up.
to be visible, but you show up. Technically, you show up, but then you do everything to stay invisible.
Mhm.
It's crazy, isn't it? The way
Yeah,
the
and that
mind.
can be tied to so many deeper things too, because I've seen this show up with women who, like, they're showing up and they're creating content. They have a business on the surface. They want to make sales in their business, but then they have an underlying fear that if somebody works with them, they're going to somehow mess them up. Like they're going to do something wrong, or they say that they want more clients, but they're also telling themselves a story that they have no time to get anything done. And so there are
Mm,
these different stories going on at the same time that prevent them from receiving the thing that they say that they want through showing up. And so we'll protect ourselves. So we'll go and go through the motions and show up and post the content and take action, but then we're not seeing the results that we want because the bigger part of us, that story, is stronger than our desire to sign the
mm,
clients.
mm. Yeah, I think the other reason is too, many women are not sure if they are right. Like if whatever they are saying is correct, right? If they have enough expertise to say whatever they want to say. I think that's the other one. Yeah.
Yes. Years ago, this came up with a coach of mine, and I the exact same thing. I said, like, I feel like I can help people, but I also feel like I need to have more experience, more testimonials, more this under my belt. And she said, Kelly, when is enough going to be enough? Like, what is that place that you are telling yourself you need to get to before you can just show up and help someone today? I'm like, oh, okay, because that goalpost is always going to be moving. And I've seen this happen in different areas. Number one is the expertise. I need to learn more. I need to take more courses. I need to get more coaching. I have to have more experience under my belt. And then you stay on this hamster wheel of constantly just learning, 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 and never going through the entire process of putting that information to work. Or they'll tell themselves a story like, once I have more testimonials, then I'll feel like I'm legit. And then they go and they get the testimonials and they're like, well, I just want some like better testimonials. I just want like a few more, or maybe some more dramatic
Mm. Or
testimonials.
maybe some certification, or
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
Or more money. A big one is like once I hit 10K months in my business, then I'm going to feel like I'm like a legit business owner. And then I'm going to feel like it's okay for me to show up and help people. But before I hit that mark, and it could be any number, but just using that because that's a common one, they'll tell themselves a story that once I hit this money goal, then I'm going to show up the way that I actually want to because I'll have all this evidence that things are working, that I'm doing a good job. Then I'm going to be able to put the offers out that I want to put out, the content that I want. I'm going to work with the clients that I want to. But until then, I'm going to identify as this newbie entrepreneur. And when we're in that energy of newbie, we're sending out a signal like, I hope I can help you, but I'm not really sure. And that uncertainty isn't
Mhm.
going to attract clients.
So how can they break through this kind of newbie self-positioning and start serving at a higher level when they actually do have the expertise, but in their mind they still need more of something.
Yeah, I would say look at everything that you have done over the entire course of your life. Because chances are, if you're in the business of helping other people, you've done more than just get a certification or focused in on one specific thing. You have an entire lifetime of wisdom. You have a very unique perspective that only you can share with other people. So even if other people in your industry are doing very similar things, nobody is going to do it like you do.
Hmm.
And it's your unique magic, like your lived experience that nobody can argue with. Like no one can deny the fact that you went through what you went through. No one can deny the fact that you had those transformations or that you've helped your clients get certain transformations because you have that evidence and your brain is going to fight you tooth and nail. It's going to tell you that, well, that was a long time ago. Is that really good enough? Does that really count? And so, what I always recommend my clients do is grab a pen and paper, like an actual physical notebook, and write down every single thing that counts as evidence that you are worthy, good enough, and like able to do this work that you're able to do. And then once you remind yourself, another thing you can do is take screenshots of any positive comments or testimonials to again prove to your brain, like, hey, this is who I am, it's what I do. And you're going to want to argue with me. You're going to want to, tell me a different story about how I need to be more, do more, have more before I can go out and help people. But I have all of this evidence right here. And it's kind of like you just want to like wash your brain in the truth and the actual reality that
Mhm.
you are able to help another human being with where you are, knowing that we're all on a path of growth and expansion, and we don't have to be anywhere we're not ready to be when it comes to serving other people. Like there's someone right now that you can help.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm wondering if there is a, for me personally, I remember it, that it wasn't even confidence. I don't know. It's self-worth, the sense of self-worth. It was a sense of self-worth, and it came through a download. It was an insight rather than something logical. Is there a way to somehow invoke that deeper? Because you will agree, right? All of us are worthy just because, right? By design. Is there a way you help people to look inside as well?
Yeah, I like to ask people, like, what if that wasn't even a thing? Like, what if this whole being worthy thing, what if that didn't even exist? Like, if you didn't have to worry about it, because in my opinion, we get our worthiness from God, from source, from that
Yeah.
divinity. Like, we're born with it. There's nothing that we can do to prove our worth. And if we try to do that, it's like chasing a carrot on a stick for our entire life, futile. But if we just set it aside and you're like, you know what? I feel completely unworthy today. I'm still going to show up and help another human being. And the more you do that, the more you practice that without attaching that need to be worthy and feel good enough, you're going to build the evidence through lived experience that yes, you can do this.
Mm. You mentioned something earlier about posting without expecting a sale. I remember at the start of my journey, what I was in this, how can I not expect sale? I need sales, I need money, And I mean on some level I get it. Like I got it. Like oh yeah, sure, of course. Like, but then on a very practical level, well, I did need the money. How how was the way to like internalize this dissociation from detachment from the result?
I like to look at it the same way we would look at dating. Like, say if you're someone who wants to get married, like that is your goal, that's the type of relationship that you want to have. When you're dating, if you're out for coffee or out for dinner, and that's all you're focused on is envisioning this person standing at the altar with you
Mhm.
and envisioning this person exchanging vows and going through married life, like that's a lot of pressure. Like, it's weird, right? It's like a lot of pressure to put on a human being. But if you're just enjoying the date, you're getting to know them and you're having a great time, like if things are aligned for you two to move forward, that's naturally going to happen. Like we don't have to attach to the outcome of getting married. We can be present and love what we're currently doing. Like we can just love the process of dating. And it's the same thing with our business. Like if you can fall in love with showing up, if you can just fall in love with selling and being there for your people, and you keep doing that consistently, sales are going to be a byproduct of that. Like they're going to come in naturally. But what we tend to do with anything that we want to manifest, money, sales, relationships, anything, we put a lot of importance on it and it's like we put it up on a pedestal. And so the sale becomes this thing that we're trying to like get. And so we're showing up and we're creating the content, we're doing the reels, the podcast, whatever. But if in the back of our mind we're like, this better get me a sale, I need the fucking money to come through, this better work. We're putting the sale up on a pedestal and we create this distortion energetically because we're creating separation between us and the money.
Mhm.
But with manifestation, the way that we call things in easier and faster is by being in the energy of already having it. And so if you can sink into the beauty of the present moment when you're just creating for the sake of creating, like this conversation that you and I are having, like it feels electric, it feels so expansive, like there's nowhere else I want to be right now. Now, if either one of us attract a client from this conversation, amazing. But if we're going into this conversation with that intention, people are going to feel it. It's going to be really wonky energetically.
Mm,
So it's kind of like it is a bit of a mind fuck because yes, you're a business owner, so sales are a thing that we do need to think about, but it's being present with what is and focusing on the creation and the service that puts you in an energy that makes you super magnetic, so sales just become a byproduct.
true. Yes. And yet it's not that straightforward for many people to uh step into that place. It's just like one of those, like it's not even, as you mentioned in the beginning, it's not even logical. Something else needs to happen which you can't even predict. It's not calculated, right? You never know when you're gonna get another download, and about what, so something like that. But obviously there is a way to maybe sort of like initiate it or move towards it, right? Step by step.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a big piece around this is letting go of the programming that most of us were raised in, where you went to a job and you got paid based on the number of hours you worked.
Oh,
And so in
yes.
our mind, we carry that programming with us, and you're like, okay, I posted 3 times. Where's my sale? I showed up 5 times this week. Where's my client? And so we really want to notice that programming and what's running in the background. And then what I love to do, I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of vision work, not to escape reality, but to really open up to different possibilities. And when I allow myself to get into a space where I'm focusing on service, I'm focusing on the purpose, the mission, that's when I feel the best. That's when we get the downloads that come through because if we're it's like this clenched fist that we can have over sales and money, but when we let go we're able to receive. And so when you're doing things like taking your dog for a walk or doing the dishes and you can just get your mind to a place where it shuts up because it's going to be like, you know what, you should be it'll like go on and on, right? But meditation is such a great practice just because it helps you notice when your mind is running amok and you can be like, okay, I'm just going to chill out and be present and do the dishes. And then 5 minutes later you might get an idea. You're like, oh, okay, there's a piece of content that just came through. And then
Mm.
the client comes through that piece of content. But we can't force it. The more we try to force and push, the more we repel.
Yeah, it's such a good angle to think of when it comes to moving towards that those insights and clarity is actually, it's not even about becoming, right? It's about unbecoming. It's about removing all sorts of obstacles and barriers and programming rather than stepping into some identity. It's not about stepping, it's removing so that you can expand,
Yes,
right? Yeah. I
exactly.
think,
So when we talk about like, oh, sorry.
no, no, I'm done. Go ahead.
Like when we talk about next level identity, that's never a fake version of you who doesn't exist. That's not a version of you that you have to like figure out how to be. It's who are you without the limitations and without the stories. And a great visual I love to share around this is imagine yourself standing in a room and you're on one side of the room and your goal is on the other side of the room. What's in the way? Like, what is stopping you from just walking over and reaching that goal? And you can envision, I'm a very visual person. So I see like boxes piled up in the center of a room. I'm like, what's in this box? Oh, I'm not good enough. Okay, cool. I'm just going to put that to the side. What's in this box? I'm afraid of charging prices for my work because I don't want people to get mad at me. Okay, cool. I'm gonna put that over here. And so we can just get curious and notice what we have told ourselves has to like be in the way of us having what we want because we're the only ones who are stopping ourselves.
Love that. Love that visual. I'm gonna use it. It's really good. Yeah. So, strategy. So the overarching topic for our conversation today, it's not a strategy. Do you think there's still place? And I know we're talking about becoming and becoming. Is there still place for strategy? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But
The
in my
industry
opinion,
keeps shouting. Okay, yeah, just to continue the point, maybe um, I hear this. You don't need another strategy all over the place these days, lately. with the rise of the new spiritual entrepreneurs. And well, I have an opinion about it. Because I do teach methods, but I also say all methods are not equal. Well, what's
Mhm.
your take on that?
Yeah, I think we need to have a strategy. We can't just sit on the couch and think happy thoughts and have clients in our DMs. But at the end of the day, like there are so many different strategies out there. And when you go with one that feels aligned for you, so it's something that you want to implement, it's not something that you dread doing on a daily basis. And it does three things. Number one, it grows your audience, it nurtures your audience, and you're selling to your audience. Grow, nurture, sell. As long as your strategy hits those three things, really any strategy is going to work. And there could be some that are going to work better for you based on your business, based on your energy, based on your personality. But I feel where people get tripped up is thinking that the strategies that like the thing that's going to make all the difference in the world. And it's
Hmm.
not. It's the identity. That's why you can see, like, I've been in the online space since 2015, full time since 2017. I have seen a gazillion different strategies work really well for different people. And so there's never really one right one, but there is going to be one that's best for you. And even that can change depending on the season you're in with your business.
Hmm. Yes. So, right. The strategy is not first. It's the you who comes first. Well, I love strategies. So first of all, so there's this thing. People do not know what's out there. So when I hear, right, pick the strategy that's best for you, well, we are only talking about the ones that you know of. But there's this whole other world that most people don't know of. So it's I wonder how they can pick a strategy. So that's where I'm coming, where I come in actually introducing, creating awareness of certain strategies. And as we talked about it. In my case, I work with women who have big visions, but the strategies that they are using are not even sufficient to create those visions, not to mention the realities behind the closed doors that these women are dealing with. So what, like, and I know I have a strategy, I have a method. Look at my cat boo on the scratching the door, wanting to get in to the show. Um, yeah, so well, this is actually this is the topic that makes me sad a little, because when I hear people saying, pick what you want, but then all they know is social media, real stories, whatever, shorts and things like that. That's like, well, you want to pick what's the best for you out of five strategies when there are hundreds of strategies, you know? And without the little things, the reels and the stories and stuff like that, so and for somebody who's really busy, a woman who's really like carrying all the four corners at home already, all the strategies are the, that ask for consistency, showing up every day. Like it's just a matter of time when she burns out, Also, and maybe we can expand on this. Also, I do believe, the way I think we were talking about the personal development, this mainstream personal development, and how it's not sufficient because it's dealing with problems or growth on the cognitive level more than subconscious level, right? Guess what? Same exists for strategies. Some strategies are so far away from universal laws and principles that never change. they dilute the value you deliver to the market. But there are other strategies that utilize principles mostly. And that's what I, and then those strategies require you to be you, you know. They start with you, and that's what I, that's my, that's the spiel I spin, trying to create awareness. But having said that, now I want to talk with you a little bit about money because, and I know you work with women. See, I love this. Why? Because most people, so many people, when you mention this word, it's like saying the F word. Like,
Yep.
oh, how dare you? You are happy. So cool. So the strategy, and I, in my specific case, and what I want women to hear is that they can create whatever the hell they want with way less work. But of course, they need to be the person who can do the thing, which includes making friends with money, which includes, right, making friends with your big vision, right? How is there anything, what is your take about money and wealth in general and wanting it?
Yeah, the wanting of it, the putting it on a pedestal, the telling yourself a story that you can't feel abundant, that you can't feel happy, joyous, grateful until your bank account hits a certain number. That's the thing that trips us up. And I first really got into money work when I had the money in the bank. And years ago, I told myself a story that once I hit X number of dollars, I'm never going to worry about money again. I need to feel safe and secure. I need to feel abundant once I have this magic number in my bank account. And then I had it. And I thought, oh, I did it. The number's right there. And I'm looking at the number on the other side of my computer screen. And it felt amazing. And I felt safe and I felt abundant for a couple of days.
Mm,
And then the anxiety and the stress came back, and it felt even worse because now I'm like, what if I mess this up? What if I never make another dime again? What if this is the only money I'm ever? And my brain just went off into like the bushes with all of these stories, and it threw everything for a loop because I thought that having more money was the solution to my money stress. And to
mm,
a certain extent, yes, like paying the rent, buying groceries, there is a certain level like we need to get to where we're covering our basic needs. But beyond that, more money isn't going to solve that money problem because if we're giving all of our power away to money, if we're letting our bank account determine how we feel on a certain day, like it's one thing to have a great launch or to have a pay in full client come in, you're like, oh, amazing. And like you're feeling grateful, you're feeling excited. Yay, money came in. But what we want to notice is when our mood is really attached to the bank account. And like you do nothing but like, gripe and argue with your partner if your sales are down, right? But if your sales are up, then you're like the happiest, like easiest person to be around ever. It's like you're riding this emotional roller coaster with money. And whenever we're doing that, we're taking all of our personal power that we've been given by the divine and handing it over to something that is an idea that we just made up because money's not even
mm,
real. Like it's an
mm.
idea that we made up because it's easier than trading chickens. Like that's
Yeah,
all it is.
yeah.
But we've attached so many stories to money and to debt and to who we are if we don't have enough or who we are if we have more than what the people around us feel is appropriate. Like so many stories are packed onto money. It becomes this thing that is so energetically and emotionally charged for us. We either don't attract it and we repel it because on the surface level, we'll say, yeah, I want to manifest the money. But underneath the surface, you're like, if I have that, a whole bunch of stuff's going to happen that I don't want to deal with. Or you're making the money thinking that that is the thing that's going to solve all of your anxiety, all of your stress. And you're laying up at night, like compulsively shopping. You are wondering where, like, or when the next shoe is going to drop. Like, you're always on guard. It's like you're always bracing yourself because you're worried that money's going to do something. And when we
Mm,
flip everything around and we realize we're the ones commanding how money is working for us, we're the ones in charge of that experience. It's already here. Money's circulating around on the planet 24/7. So who do I want to be with money? And we start looking at that relationship that we desire to have and unpacking the stuff that we've piled onto money so we can get to a place where it becomes more of like a neutral resource. I always like to compare money to air because air is something that we all need. We're not really going to make it too long on planet Earth without breathing. But most of us aren't sitting around going, whew, I just took a really deep breath. I hope there's enough air. I hope there's enough air for me for the rest of the day. Or, look at all these people around me. They're all breathing. I hope there's enough air for me too. It could be weird, right? Ridiculous. But we do that with money all the time.
We do. So what are the most common money blogs do you notice in women?
Uh, for my women in business specifically, there's an idea that receiving money is wrong, past the just enough mark. And so often there's this story that it's okay to make enough money to, live comfortably, go on vacation, have some nice things, but anything beyond that is greedy. It's selfish. Nobody needs that kind of money. And so they block themselves from receiving what they truly want because they've attached a story that it's not good for them to have
It's
it.
so interesting. Why is going on vacation when you want not greedy? Not everyone can go on a good vacation, right?
Yeah. And we all have our stories around what's right or what's wrong. And
And
I've
what's
seen
the
this
mark?
in
Yeah,
business.
like just enough. What is it? Just enough, and
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. And we look around to like, I had a story at one point in time that anything beyond 60K a year was unnecessary.
Oh,
And then I
really?
did some digging and I'm like, well, that's what I know my dad made. My dad and I, we never talked about his income. But once when I was really young, when I was in college, he paid for the apartment that I lived in when I was going to school. And
Mhm.
on the application form, he filled out that his income was 60K. And so I was like maybe 18 when this happened, but I carried that through to adulthood without really noticing, thinking, okay, well, I don't want to make more than my dad because he's my dad, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, it's so interesting that I put this cap on what's available for me.
Oh, wow. Yes, okay. And so basically, money, what I'm hearing is that they are saying money is bad. So wanting more of it, more than a certain mark, is not good. I'm not gonna be a good person if I have more. Is there anything else like I think what I wasn't digging for myself at some point was yeah, almost something like somebody will get offended. How can I, when I become rich, how can I live the life that I can actually live without showing that life so that
Yeah,
some
because it's
people
not
don't
safe.
see it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. And it's interesting, like we really are the sum of the people that we spend the most time with because I have a mentor who lives down in Puerto Rico and she moved there recently and she's surrounded by billionaires. And so her making, I don't even know how many millions she makes, but she's doing really well in her business. To her, that's like that's normal that people make that much money. But if you took what she's making and put her down in like, middle class America, she's going to stick out like a sore thumb if she's
Mm,
living the lifestyle, maybe like, because material things, they are part of us having money. And so, like, if you want to be driving the car you actually want to drive, in the back of your head, you're like, yeah, but what are people going to think if I'm driving, the Porsche instead of the Toyota? So we keep ourselves small because there's a part of us that, even though logically we know people aren't going to come to our door with pitchforks, we still feel unsafe being successful in certain areas, in certain communities. And that's why a lot of people move. They move to cities like LA and New York and places where money, like larger numbers, are more common because it feels a lot
mm.
more safer for them to expand financially.
Yeah, posh people, they move together and they look down on everyone else, don't they?
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. And a very common thing, if you're a little kid and you're driving with your parents, almost everyone I know have had this experience. You get cut off by someone driving a Porsche or BMW, and immediately your dad or your mom is like, see, this asshole driving this fancy car thinks he owns the road. So there's
Right.
that attachment to, okay, people who drive nice cars are assholes. I don't want to be an asshole. Okay, I don't want to drive a
Mm.
nice car. And this is all happening beneath the surface because we take in everything when we're younger. We don't have a filter. And so every conversation about money you took in as a child with no filter. And so if you heard your parents talking badly about people who are wealthy, all rich people are greedy, they're all crooks, they're all shady, you're going to take that on as a belief without even knowing it. And unless you unpack it later on in life, that belief is going to hold you back from receiving what you
Mm.
want. Because
And it's
consciously, you say
everywhere.
all day you want the money.
It's everywhere. It's in movies.
Yeah.
It's in fairy tales.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. And yeah, am I just here? Like, am I focusing on this, or is it actually growing now with AI specifically and the new rise of tech industry and stuff like that? And richer people are becoming even more richer. The rich people are accumulating everything for ourselves. And back in the day, before, pre-entrepreneur days, I would have probably, I don't know if I would pay attention, but something along the lines of, wow, wow, yeah, why the hell do rich people become even richer? But now, like, I mean, well, because they know how. That's how, right?
Hmm.
And people are not, it's almost like, okay, so this is the other one, I guess. The other one. If you're rich, you must be doing something dodgy.
Yes, because we have a narrative in our culture that hardworking people are good people. And so as long as if you
True.
have a lot of money and you have struggled and you've sacrificed, put your family, your health on the back burner, but you've done the hard work to make the money, then it's okay. It's acceptable. But if that money came easily, there's going to be that underlying worry of like, what are people going to think? What are people going to think? And so you
Yeah,
won't
they're gonna
allow it
think
to
I'm
be.
a bad person.
Yes. Yep. And then along with that, we can also have a story that in order for us to be deserving of the money, we have to work hard. And so it's almost like you get like this
Mm.
dopamine hit from like putting in all the hard work and I haven't slept in 3 days because I've been doing this launch or I've been working on this project, but now I deserve the money because look how I struggled and look how I sacrificed. It's like, okay, well, you got your gold star for working hard, but was that necessary? Like, yes, work is required, but I don't think struggle is. I think that's an option.
Oh, it is an option. Just even from the strategy point of view, it's totally an option. All you need is to deliver a lot of value to the market fast. And there are methods that do that. Well, that's one of those things that most people don't know. And, they choose the best strategy for them within what they know. That's what I'm talking about. But it's the main principle in marketing, you get rewarded in direct proportion to the value delivered to the market. So the question is, how do you deliver a lot of value fast? And it has nothing to do with time and effort and hard work,
Nope.
right?
But so many people are like a lot of people, they're not even open to hearing that because it goes against their value that
Mm.
in order to be a good person, I have to work really hard. And they won't do anything to go against that.
Which is where you come in, because you teach people that a lot of what they perceive as their values is just programming.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one client, she sent me a Voxer message and she said, Kelly, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and I've gotten all my work done and I don't have any calls today, but I don't know what to do with myself. I'm like, you can just relax. Like what do you want to do? And without being at her laptop all day and like thinking that she had to fix her strategy and fix this and fix that without being caught up in this idea that she had to work really, really hard, she didn't know what to do with herself. And so she ended up going for a walk and she went to a bookstore and had some coffee. But even for myself, I remember the same thing. I've always been an early bird. And so when I quit my cleaning business and I was coaching full time, when I was done work in the morning, early morning, I was like, what do I do? And I felt like almost guilty because
Mm.
for years I had worked at a full-time job. I worked until 5:36, and if you have friends who are working, you're like, "Oh man, I can't go out for lunch with so and so because they're at their job." And you feel kind of guilty just having all of that time and space to yourself. Again, all comes
Mm.
down to the conditioning.
It's so hard not to work hard, huh?
Yeah, and the thing is like I love to work. There are things right now I'm working on a book, and like the other day I sat on my couch and I moved to eat, walk my dog, and go to the bathroom. Like I was like planted in front of my laptop for hours and hours. And I felt so energized. Like when my head hit the pillow, it was like, oh, this is the best feeling ever. So it's not to demonize work, it's to look at the stories that we've attached to the work that we're doing. And to do work, in my opinion, the best way to do life is to do work that comes easily and naturally to you that you want to show up for.
Mm.
You're not trying to escape your business because what happens for a lot of people is they create a business based on someone else's success blueprint or what they think they should be doing, and they've just created a job for themselves that they hate. And so they're showing up, they're taking action, but everything feels so heavy because it's not really what they want to be doing, even if they're making money, even if they're successful.
Yeah, I believe that actually you need to rest enough for you to know what the hell you should be working on in the first place and
Yeah.
to get inspired to do it.
Yes. And I always say everything is a money-making activity. Like I love to be
Mm.
outside on the trail with my dog. It's one of my
Yes.
all-time favorite things. I tell myself walking my dog is a money-making activity. Meditating is a money-making activity. Going for a
Hmm.
massage, zoning out and watching Netflix for 3 hours, that is a money-making activity. And I say that because
If you
I show
decide
up and I
so
do the
rather
work.
than, yeah, if you make a decision to do rather than just being a zombie all the time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because I know that when we allow ourselves to detach from the work and like the posting and the strategy and all that stuff, and we just let ourselves be present with our human experience, that's when we open up to receive all those ideas. Whether it's the idea to reach out and send someone a message and tell them about your offer, or for a piece of content or a new program, whatever it is, if we're always in this mode where we're forcing and pushing and struggling and like working, we're closing ourselves down from the information that's coming through that wants to pour through, that is going to lead us to the most ease-filled way to receive.
Mm. I think people miss the point that they don't know way more than they do than they know, right?
Yeah.
And you, you know, most of that stuff reaches you when you are relaxed and rested.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people, they're like, oh man, I had the best idea come to me in the shower. Yeah. Because in the shower, you were
Exactly.
just scrubbing up and washing your hair. Like you weren't focused on, like, oh, I have to come up with a money-making idea. Like you released all that pressure. And when you release the pressure, that's when you open up to receive the ideas. And also, that's often when you open up to receive the money as well. Like
Mm.
if you're in the middle of a launch and you're constantly looking at your Stripe notifications and refreshing your email, chances are you're not going to have the money come through the way you want it to. But when you're out for lunch with friends, like I'm thinking of a client now, she was in the middle of a launch and she was kind of getting hung up on the people who had signed up for her program. And she was like, well, cart closes in X number of days. And she ended up going to visit a family member. And when she was with her family member, they were doing crafts together. I think she was with her sister. And they were immersed in an activity completely unrelated to business. And I forget exactly how many sales she made, but we got on a call after that. And she said, I was crafting for like a couple of days, not even thinking about my launch because she had already
Hmm.
had things scheduled to work, right? On that side of things. And the money just came through. I'm like, yeah, because you weren't fucking like worried about it. Of course it did. Like you weren't putting all that pressure and that contractive energy around money to come in.
Actually something similar happened for me very recently. And I was even like, I was in the best shape. Then I went to my parents for 3 nights, like for a long weekend. It was Mother's Day too, as well. I'm like, and then I just watched from almost the outside how the universe is sorting things out, things that I had been planning for a while and somehow struggling. And then when I released it, and I was like, you know what? I'm having a break. And then suddenly, a few days, everything sorted itself out. Happy days. And I'm like sitting there, like, oh, and I was even telling to my mom, oh my God, I didn't need to move a finger. It's like, what's going on? And we forget about this. Even I forget about, like, we have this what the hell is going on, right? Like sometimes if you have an idea or a goal, right, even if it's a micro goal, mini goal, for the day or for the week, like we have to, and things are not happening, and and you just need to sit here at your laptop, whatever, to grind it out. There's this such a crazy deep programming going on in us.
Yeah. And the image that always comes to mind with this is if you're a gardener, if you've ever planted anything, you have to create the right conditions for the plant to grow. But after you plant the seed and you water it and you make sure it has nutrients and sunlight, if you go out to that garden every day and dig the seed up to see if it's growing, it's not going to grow. You have to just trust that things are working beneath the
Yeah,
surface.
exactly. Yeah, very, very good analogy. Like you can't expect this bloody tomato to suddenly be ready in June instead of August, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And digging the seed
Mhm.
up isn't, it's going to do the
Mhm.
opposite.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. Really cool. So listen, so what is your book about?
So the book is called Stop Being Money's Little Bitch. And it's all about taking your
Oh,
power back from money and transforming your relationship with it. And so if you're in a place where you want to manifest more money, it's going to help you. And also if you're in a place where you have the money, but you're still feeling kind of like controlled by it, it's going to help you undo that conditioning and that programming and really self-source abundance because we all have the ability to do that. But we've been told a lie that we have to have money in order to feel abundant. And that's not true. It's the other way around. And so when you learn to self-source the safety, the security, the abundance from within, money is going to work for you in a completely different way.
when is it coming out?
July the 1st. It's on pre-order right now, but yeah, officially July the 1st is the release date.
Nice one, nice one. And so I imagine there will be some practical information in the book.
Yes, yeah, I'm a Capricorn. So we I love to mix spiritual principles with very practical actions. So it's not like a budgeting book. It's not like a money management book. It is really geared towards the inner work and the identity
Right.
work. But I have a whole toolbox of different things that I'm going to be sharing that I do with my clients in this book.
Yeah, I think it's very much needed because, well, the world is changing, isn't it? Right?
Mhm.
More and more people are looking inwards, you know, seeing that whatever other stuff they have been doing isn't working well enough. So, and also the new perspective and also from women, because, like, as you know, this industry was shaped by who? By men, mostly, right? And even a lot of women that are known in the industry, they are still spinning the same thing, right?
Mhm.
But also then, and I guess we share similar understanding what I'm seeing on this other camp, there is too much fluff as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like even this, like just do nothing, manifest, right? Kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. And I think it's so interesting because I've been in the world of personal development and mindset work for a long time. What I've seen with myself as well as with clients is that being in that space where you're diving into the inner work and it feels like you're about to have a breakthrough is a really sticky place to get stuck because there's this idea that no, I just need to be in my feminine energy or I just have to do some more healing or some more journaling and that's going to be the thing that creates the change. It's like, well, we get to do the inner work and show up and take action. Like the word hustle has such a bad rap now attached to it, but you're running a business. Like you do have to work. Like you do have to show up and do like the masculine side of things. But that gets to be the container for your magic to flow through
Mm.
and they get to work together. But if we only stay doing the inner work or in I'm going to take bubble baths and meditate all day. Well, that's great, but that's not gonna create the results that you want to create. And the people who are selling that, they've been showing up and posting and holding the classes and doing the trainings and sharing the content and they've been doing the work to get where they are. Like, of course,
Exactly.
for them. They have 1 million followers and 10 years of experience. Of course, they can take a bubble bath and make $2 million.
At the end of the day, the whole goal of having a business is creating value
Yeah.
and making a contribution. Business, money is are attributes of the physical reality,
Yes. Yeah. We're here
right?
in physical form for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you still need to do the work. And it's not even like, when I talk, so the name of the podcast is From Grind to Sovereignty, used to be From Grind to Grace. I renamed it recently. Uh, but that doesn't mean there are no seasons when you work like crazy, maybe 10, 12, 14 hours sometimes during, a day, but not from the grindy place. It's because it's flowing. It's because you are loving it. It's because you are feeling that you're creating something meaningful. Sometimes
Yeah.
I watch Netflix and I get an insight at 10 p.m. and I'm sitting at my laptop and doing something because I got inspired,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, so looking forward to seeing your book. It's so exciting. Is it coming through well? Like, are you
Gosh.
on
Yeah.
track?
It's like it's pouring through. My problem is I sometimes have to like cut things back because I don't want to just like give everything my brain is offering me. I want to make it like I got to keep things on track with the actual content of the book, but I want to like just blurt out everything I know about manifestation and money and everything. But I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to edit this down a little bit. But yeah, I'm excited.
How did you end up doing what you do? And also, the psychic side of things. Can we touch on that as well?
Yeah,
Yeah, because
sure.
I don't think I've ever talked about this on my podcast before.
Okay. I'll take you right back to the beginning and kind of go through things in a linear fashion, but concisely.
Mm-hmm.
So, I started a housekeeping business in 2013. And at that point in time on my spiritual journey, I had been into like magic and psychic development and divination and things like that, as well as I was learning more about manifestation and personal development from people like Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy. I was reading Abraham Hicks.
Mm,
When I started my cleaning business, I really dove into the manifestation side of things and that mindset side of things. And when I was doing that, I was seeing results. That business took off really quickly. And I remember thinking it'd be like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd be having my coffee before I went to work. I'm like, chances are there are people out there who want to create what they want to have in their life, but they don't want to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning reading books like I am. And so that's what got me into coaching. And then when I first got into the coaching space, it was really centered around manifestation. And then I was doing these readings because I used to really be into magic and witchcraft. I was doing these. They weren't readings. They were called revamp your reality rituals. I think that's what I called them. And I would have a client come to me, and there would be something in their life that they wanted to shift and change. And I would give them spiritual principles, different ideas that they could implement that would help them create that internal shift so they could create the results that they want to create. And I had one client, and I knew her a little bit on Facebook, so she wasn't a total stranger. And when I was preparing her service, because these were like PDF documents, because back then I was too afraid to get on a call with a client. Going back to our conversation about visibility, I was too afraid to do a call like this. It was a PDF document, and I got the idea to pull some cards for her to get some more insight. And when I pulled those cards for her, when she got the service, she said, Kelly, I've been reading over this on my lunch break and I'm in tears because what you shared was so freaking accurate. And I was kind of shocked because at that point in time, I was trying really, really hard to be psychic. I loved tarot, I loved all different types of divination, but it felt like I was climbing up this mountain, like pushing a boulder when I was trying to learn tarot and trying to develop my psychic abilities. And there was a strong desire to open up, but I was coming at it from this approach of like that old paradigm, like going to school kind of thing and learning that way. And I had this corner in my living room set up, and it was like Hogwarts. I had all my journals and my tarot books. That was the big thing that I was into. And I remember thinking, like, I don't think it should be this hard. Like, nothing's sinking through. And I'm
Mm,
approaching this the same way I did school, which I did really well in, but nothing was working. And then when I did that reading for that client, even though I didn't sell it as a reading, I kind of added it in. That unlocked something. And I'm like, wait a second, I've been making this so much harder than I need to make it. And so from there, I just started doing readings and I ended up getting certified with, I forget the gentleman's name, but it was like an intuition program that I took where you did readings for some people who were teachers in the program. And I remember learning to really just get out of the way and let the message be the message because when you're getting psychic messages, they're for the person that you're reading for. And that person can come to you with a specific issue, but the message that comes through can be something completely unrelated, but it's the very thing that they need to hear that unlocks that part of them or that thing within them that will help them get the clarity
mm.
that they need, the closure that they need. And so, with any kind of psychic work, if anyone's into this or interested, the important thing is to trust the messages that are coming through you and to kind of like, you just get out of the way and you're the channel for the
Mm.
information.
Yeah, and you use that in business. You use that to help women, right, in their
Yes.
businesses.
Yeah,
And
that's
this
the
is
main thing.
just so not strategy.
Right. Because if you're like everything's connected, right? And if you have issues with family or an ex relationship, even though that's not related to what you're doing in your business, like logically, if you still have stuff to clean up around a relationship that ended 3 years ago that you're still energetically attached to, you got to clean that up because that is leaking energy and it's also impacting the way that you're showing up and receiving. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
different for everyone, but there's always stuff beneath the surface that we often can't see for ourselves because we're unaware of it. Or often it's stuff that we do kind of have awareness around, but we don't want to admit it because there can be shame and guilt tied to it. And so when I come in and do a reading, I see stuff, and I've had people say, like, I'm almost afraid to come and work with you because you're going to see the shit that I don't even want to know is there. I'm like, yeah, but that way we have awareness around it, and then you can shift it.
So how does it compare to some other modalities, transformational modalities? Like, is it faster? Is it deeper? I don't know what it like if somebody if she's listening, somebody who's creating, wanting to create that life on her terms, but she's in a situation where basically that is capping her, right? Like she's dealing with something, not something difficult, right? Why would she choose to go for something like that?
Yeah, it's faster. It's going to get to the root. And I'm not saying that you're not going to have to do your own work around it. Like I always bring in mindset coaching and frequency work with what I do with readings. But I've had people sit in masterminds for 6 months that they've spent 25, 30K on. And it's like they're just kind of going around in circles because we can't see the forest for the trees. And when I go in psychically, like I can tell, like I can have a conversation with someone, and within 2 to 3 minutes, I know what's blocking them with money. I'm like, oh, this is it. Because I pick up on stuff that is really sensitive
Mhm.
energetically, and then I'll share what's coming through. That starts the conversation. That's when things start unraveling. It's kind of like imagine like a ball of yarn that's all tangled up. It's like the psychic insight that comes through kind of like grabs a hold of that piece of yarn. Then we start unraveling. And then we can see,
Mm,
oh, okay, this happened, or this is going on beneath the surface. Let's look at this piece, and that's going to have a ripple effect and create the change that you want to see.
mm. Can anyone learn it?
Psychic development?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's something that we're all born with, but it's kind of like learning an instrument. Like if someone has a desire to learn, they might have to practice a little bit longer than someone else. I think other people have it come more easily. And then even with that, we all receive psychic information differently. And
Mm,
so there might be some people who very easily get visuals pop in, but they never they might not be a medium. Like for myself, I'm not a medium, but every once in a while I'll have somebody's ancestors come through, but I can't sit there and say, yes, I'm going to channel a message from your dead grandmother because I can't, that's not my gift. Right. But I
Mm-hmm.
think if it was a true desire for me to lean into that work, which it's not, but if it was, and I practiced it, I have a belief that, okay, well, yeah, I could probably build that skill because that sixth sense is something that we all have as humans, but I feel it comes in for different people different ways.
I see. I haven't done anything like that. It's something I need to try, I think. I
Yeah.
I believe. Okay, Kelly, that was so cool. Again, it's always like I can't believe it's over 1 hour already. So thanks for being with me and sharing your wisdom and your
Oh,
energy.
it's been awesome speaking with you.
And everyone who was watching or listening as well. And I'll be on again next week. We're done.
Awesome. That was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me on your show.